it was 1,362. 3, 200 feet. 4, 5, 120 feet. 6, 110 feet. 7, 610 feet. Top floor, 1,350 feet for a 1. Number 4 for World Trade Center. You know what? I'll go stand online for the museum. But farewell, twins. Once again, farewell. And all the people that have passed. May you rest in your peace. Technical details, floor count. World Trade Center 1 and 2 had 110 floors. 3 had 22 floors. 4 and 5 had 9 floors. 6 had 8 floors. 7 had 47 floors. Floor area 1 and 2 had 4,300,000 square feet each. 4, 5, 6, 50,000 square feet. 7, 1,868,000 square feet. Design and construction, architect Minoru Yamasaki, Emery Roth and Sons, engineer Worthington Skilling, Healy and Jackson, Leslie E. Robertson Associates. I wonder if it's still open. I don't know. I don't think so. The original World Trade Center was a large complex of 7 buildings in Lower Manhattan, New York City, United States. It featured landmark twin towers which opened on 4 April 1973 and were destroyed in September 11 attacks, with 7 World Trade Center collapsing later that day due to the damage it suffered when the twin towers collapsed. That morning, the other buildings in the complex were severely damaged by the collapse of the twin towers, and their ruins were eventually demolished. Alright, so it costs $24 to get in. Excuse me, is it closed?
Yes.
Alright, thank you. Alright, now cart workers. At the time of their completion, the Twin Towers and the original World Trade Center, and we read all that. With a construction cost, okay, so it costs $400 million to, I believe that's what they're saying the construction cost of this place was. The complex is located in New York City's financial district and contains 13,400,000 square feet of office space. The World Trade Center experienced a fire on February 13, 1975, a bombing on February 26, 1993, a robbery on January 14, 1998. In 1998, the Port Authority decided to privatize the World Trade Center, leasing the building to a private company to manage, and awarded the lease to Silverstein Properties in July 2001. On the morning of September 11, 2001, Al-Qaeda affiliate hijackers flew 2 Boeing 767 jets into the complex, beginning with North Tower at 8:46 a.m., then the South Tower at 9:03, in a coordinated attack of terrorism. After burning for 56 minutes, the South Tower collapsed at 9:59 a.m. 29 minutes later, at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower collapsed. The attacks on the World Trade Center killed 2,606 people in and within the vicinity of the towers, as well as all 157 on the board of the 2 aircraft. Falling debris from the towers combined with fires that the debris initiated in several surrounding buildings led to partial or complete collapse of all other buildings in the complex and caused catastrophic damage to 10 other large structures in the surrounding area, including the World Financial Center And let's take a different route back. Excuse me. And Dutch Bank Building. 3 buildings in the World Trade Center complex collapsed due to fire-induced structural failure. And when the North Tower collapsed, debris fell on the nearby 7 World Trade Center, damaging it and starting fires so that it eventually collapsed. The process of cleaning up and recovery at the World Trade Center took 8 months. The World Trade Center complex was rebuilt over a span of more than a decade. The site is being rebuilt with 6 new skyscrapers, while a memorial to those killed in the attacks and new rapid transit hub have both opened. One World Trade Center, the tallest building in the United States, is the lead building for the new complex, reaching more than 100 stories upon its completion in November 2014. For the World Trade Center, alright, some other information before it was. The western portion of the World Trade Center site was originally under the Hudson River, with the shoreline in the vicinity of Greenwich Street. It was on the shoreline close to the intersection of Greenwich and Former Day Street that Dutch explorer Adrian Block's ship, the Tiger, burned to the waterline in November 1613, stranding Block and his crew and forcing them to overwinter on the island. I lost my spot. Okay. They built the first European settlement in Manhattan. The remains of the ship were buried under landfill when the shoreline was extended starting in 1797 and were discovered during excavation work in 1916. The remains of the second ship from the 18th century were discovered in 2010 during excavation work at the site. The ship, believed to be a Hudson River sloop, was found just south where the Twin Towers used to stand, about 20 feet below the surface. City bikes. So in New York City, there are some areas where there are lots of bikes parked, and you can utilize your credit card to rent a city bike and ride around New York City. I've never done it before, but I think it's a pretty cool idea if you ever come down here. Anyway, where were we? I think we were over here. Later, the area became Radio Row, New York City's Radio Row, which existed from 1921 to 1966, was a warehouse district on the Lower West Side. In the financial district, Harry Schneck opened, okay, there we are, City Radio on Cortlandt Street in 1921, and eventually the area held several blocks of electronic stores with Cortlandt Street as a central axis. The used radios were surplus electronic junk and parts, often piled so high they would spill out onto the street, attracting collectors and scroungers, according to a business writer. Oh my goodness. To business writer, it was also the origin of electronic component distribution business. The idea of establishing a World Trade Center in New York City was first proposed in 1943. The New York State Legislature passed a bill authorizing New York Governor Thomas E. Dewey to begin developing plans to project but the plans were put on hold in 1949. During the late 1940s and 1950s, economic growth in New York City was concentrated in Midtown Manhattan. To help stimulate urban renewal in Lower Manhattan, David Rockefeller suggested that the Port Authority build a World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan. Plans for use of eminent domain to remove the shops in Radio Row bounded the Vesey Church Liberty and West Street began in 1961 when the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey was deciding to build the world's first World Trade Center. Where are we, La? I don't know anymore. I keep looking down and then up. Okay, there we are. They had two choices, the east side of Lower Manhattan near the South Street Seaport and the west side near the H&M Station Hudson Terminal. Initial plans made public in 1961 identified at site along the East River for the World Trade Center. As a bi-state agency, the Port Authority required approval for new projects from the governors of both New York and New Jersey. New Jersey Governor Robert B. Mariner objected to New York getting a $335 million project. Toward the end of 1961, negotiations with the outgoing New Jersey Governor Mariner reached a stalemate. City Bike. Dang, there's a whole lot of city bikes down in this area. Here's an area where people park their city bikes. I'll show you guys that real quick. Murray Street. Words, Murray. The Murray Show. At the time, ridership of New Jersey's Hudson Manhattan Railroad. Alright, Murray Street. Barry Park. Anyway. Yeah, here's where people can get their city bikes. And as you can see, I think you may have seen one individual or numerous individuals turning their city bikes in. You can put your credit or debit card in here, I'm guessing credit, and then you can rent a city bike for a day, ride it around, and then when you're done, you may have to re-swipe your debit or credit card, not quite sure, but city bikes, the way of the future. Alright, anyway, back at it. At the time, ridership on New Jersey's Hudson and Manhattan Railroad has declined substantially from a high of 113 million riders in 1927 to run across the street, La. My legs hurt. I'm getting old. Alright. To 26 million in 1958 after the new automobile tunnels and bridges had opened across the Hudson River. In a December 1961 meeting between Port Authority Director Austin J. Tubman and newly elected New Jersey Governor Richard J. Hughes, the Port Authority ordered to take over the Hudson and Manhattan Railroad to have it become the Port Authority Trans-Hudson. Port Authority also decided to move the World Trade Center project to the Hudson Terminal building. Alright, site on the west side of Lower Manhattan, a more convenient location for New Jersey's commuters arriving via PATH. With a new location and Port Authority acquisition of the H&M Railroad, New Jersey agreed to support the World Trade Center project. In compensation for Radio Row businesses owners' displacement, the Penny NJ gave each business $3,000 each, without regard to how long the businesses had been there and or how prosperous the business was.